Hello lovely friends, how are you all today? I hope you're well. Well, obviously I've made it back to the garden a fortnight after I was last here, and I look an absolute state because as soon as I've got here today, I've watered. It's hot. Yeah, I know other people have it hotter, but for the UK it's hot. We're heading towards 30, which for you Fahrenheit lovers is high 80s, going into the 90s. And you know what, there's no two ways about it. For the June tour, well, firstly I'm 2 weeks late, I think it's the 14th today, 14th of June. It's an absolute disaster show. Oh my goodness. Because I've done all the watering now, it's given me a chance to have a really close look at the garden. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you around the garden, point a few things out, and then I've got a little plan for the next couple of weeks or so, which I'll quickly tell you, but back here in the shade of the shed, because it really is scorchio. But one really happy note, oh my goodness, because I was walking around watering and I was almost crying at the state of some things. But the happy note is, this morning, on Facebook, in our community Facebook group, so it's a Facebook group for this whole area, I saw a post which made my heart sink. It was a post from Rosie and used to be Poppy's mum, to say, has anyone seen Rosie? She's not been seen for a couple of weeks. Oh no. So I put a little reply to say, well, I'm going to the allotment today, I'll have a really good look for her. She turned up. She turned up at my shed. Yay. So I've just called, I don't have Rosie's mum's phone number, so I've just called my lovely friend Kay, who lives right near them, and Kay has been able to go around to them to say, Rosie's here. She's alive, she's well. So obviously I had a good look at Rosie. She's absolutely fine, not injured or anything. Gave her some food, which she gobbled up. So I think she was quite hungry. But yeah, happy ending. I was so happy. Kay was like, I knew she'd turn up at your shed. Yay! Right. Oh my goodness. I can't begin to tell you what a shock this is to my system to be out here. So let's have a quick look around the garden. Gird yourselves. It's bad. Right, even before we go down to the garden, this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 by 4, 28, 29, 30. This was 30 Cocoa Sophie. These are climbing bean. They've all been mullered by the slugs, so I don't have any climbing Cocoa Sophie. You all right, Rusty? Then over here, this was 30 Gigantes. I think I have one survivor, and then 10, or did I manage to get, yeah, I got 15 in the end. This is the Churchill Black. I have one. That one might just survive. So out of a tray of 45 climbing beans, I've got 3. It's just ridiculous. The runners, they're all okay. Of all the things to survive, runners, they're so commonplace. I don't care about runner beans. I want my Gigantes. Got a plan though. These also, some good survivors in here. This is Madeira Maroon and Helder. They've grown a little bit. Oh, hang on a second, Rosie's. Oh, I'm so happy to be able to share that good news. Yes, so where were we? So Madeira Maroon, these are all climbers, by the way. Madeira Maroon I have for the beans, the Helder for the pods, and then what are in here? Oh, and this is the Bolotti, and I think, one non-germinator. But yeah, sorry, the light's a bit tricky today, isn't it? So look, I've got some climbing beans. It's just that I haven't got Gigantes, Churchill Black, and the Cocoa Sophie, which were the ones I really want. Okay, come on, let's not delay this anymore. We might, because the thing is, Rosie was at my shed and then she scarpered, so we might hear a few calls for her in the background. They're just going to have a wander around the site. I could, I suppose, have kept hold of her in my shed, but she wouldn't have liked that. The main thing is, look, she's alive, she's well, she's not injured. Right, we're walking to the top of the garden to start where we normally do, but I don't normally walk you, do I? So, the tree lily, oh, lovely, lovely buds. Hang on a tick. Okay, so I think they're heading back indoors now, so we're fine to get on. But yes, the little buds. Now, if I stand back to show you against, say, my plot sign, you can see they're not very tall this year, again. And I think that's just down to the fact that for the last couple of winters, I've disturbed them, I've moved them, and I think it just takes a little bit out of them. So it's not going to be 6 foot this year, but loads of buds, that's the main thing. Yay! Oh my goodness, hilarious. I've all this, my paths are a state. Some of this is weeds, but some of it is cosmos. Self-seeded, I let it self-seed. And I'm very happy to see them. Okay, so first bed is the white onions. And I've got to say, they don't look great. These 2 rows, okay. But those 2 rows, I mean, let's come around this way, if I can step down. Look at that. There's nothing. It's pathetic. Oh, goodness me, what a year. What a year. Now, look, across the whole garden, the paths, weeds, everywhere. Normally, it would not be like this. Normally, I wouldn't dream of showing you my garden in this state, but this is just how it is. We have to put up with them for now. They're not a priority. At some point in July, when I've executed the plan, the weeding can happen. The red onions, though, are looking pretty good. Yay, chuffed. So I think out of the whole garden, there's about, what I'm going to show you, there's about 4 beds, 5 beds that I'm happy with, just as a heads up before we go round. The rest, no. So, as I suspected, not a single carrot. Down at the end here, this was the leftover onions. Whether they'll come to anything, I don't know. Obviously this is all the chard gone to seed. That should have come out ages ago. Never mind, it will come out, and courgettes will go here if there's any courgettes left. This is onions from seeds. Sorry, the light's a little bit tricky today. My brain's a bit tricky. Onions from seed. That one got properly nibbled, it's trying to come back. That one survived, that one nibbled. Next door, you wouldn't know it to look at it, but 2/3 of this bed is sown. So in the end here, I've got the Coco Noir, which is the black version of Coco de Pampol that Jim kindly sent. I sowed 16 and I have 9 maybe. Beyond it I sowed fennel, but you can see from the paths we're bone dry and baking hot. You can't put seeds in the ground and them not have any water and expect them to do something. Of course they're not going to do anything. But I have a plan. There's always a plan. You know what? I'll be honest with you. I mean, look at the state of this garden. When I first turned up, I started watering, and I just thought, you know what, Vivi? Just walk away from it now. Just walk away. There is no way you're going to get this garden sorted this year. Forget it, and don't be miserable about it anymore. But after doing my bits and bobs of watering and walking around, I thought, you know what? I think I can still get something of a garden. Right, garlic came out. That would normally be followed by Cavallo Nero. The brassicas were sown in pots on the deck. We'll go and have a look at those in a second. I'm going to come, right, this bed needs digging, this bed, that bed, the bed beyond, 4 beds to dig. That's going to be fun in 30 plus degrees of centigrade, but I'm coming this way to explain one of the changes of plan. So I was supposed to be having bean arches over this path and the next one. The bean arches are far too fiddly, will take me too long. So instead, this was going to be the cucumber bed. All the cucumbers were eaten. So, and make it a squash bed. And that was going to be a squash bed too. So squash bed. And instead of squash, that's where I'm going to put up 2 rows of beans on the climbing poles up to sort of 7 feet or so. I think that's the best rescue, rather than direct sowing all the cucumbers and building the cucumber frame, and it might not even work. Let's cut our losses and do something, I'll make the most of it. So there'll be 2 rows of beans at the back bed there, and they will replace the 2 rows of arches from here. Now, on these beds, you can see it clearly with this onion bed, you can see I left space at the end of the bed to put the pole in here, to do my seeding here. So there's a little tiny bit of space in the end here, and I can plonk in, well, maybe a pepper, anything, any plant that I've got that has survived, they can go just on the ends. So I think that's a really good solution for this problem. No bean arches, 2 rows of beans there, squash, tomatoes. These really need to get done. The broad beans, I'd left quite a few for harvesting, but I don't know if you can tell the colour from there, but they're yellow, they're horrid. So some for seed saving, and again, these should have been followed by the red kale. We'll check on the deck to see what brassicas I might possibly have. Next door, this was a whole bed of coco de paimpol. You can see plenty of nasturtiums, but very few. 1, 2 there. That one's been eaten. I mean, there's just little stumps all through the bed where they have come up, just completely massacred. Oh, so it's like a double whammy. I've gone from, at the beginning of the 2 weeks ago when I stopped being here, it's just slugs everywhere. Then the rain stopped and the heat and the dryness came. So these 3 beds are ready to receive squash. Great, and get on with that. But again, I mean, look, there's a path in here somewhere. You can't see it. It's completely taken over with weeds. Never mind. Beyond, you can see I do have potatoes. Yay! They're looking fine. I've given them a good soak. They were looking a little bit droopy when I arrived, but they'll do. Now this bed is another bed for a change of plan. Again, I'm going to come and stand this end. Sorry. It needs a little tiny bit more work still, but that was going to be my salads bed. All the salads have been eaten, so instead this will be another 2 rows of beans. So again, instead of having bean arches down this path, pop me a couple of rows in there. I'll get the same number of beans in there as when I do them as arches. So in theory, hopefully, still between these 2 beds, 96 climbing bean plants. Oh, you caramba. So, yay, bit of good news. Some of the chickpeas are up, quite a few. Next bed along, not so great. This was all rock and core, and I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 or 7 out of, I don't know exactly how many I sowed, but it would have been around 40. Never mind. Tray of peppers been completely stripped, never mind. The tray behind half stripped, never mind. Calendula doing great. But this is a minor miracle. Parsnips. I mean, I think this is going to be my worst garden year ever. So how ironic that one of the trickiest things is coming up. And They're a bit hard to see at the moment, some of them, and they're really kind of tiny, but they're intermittent, but they're, you know, with a nice bit of spacing. It's really hard to see at the moment, isn't it? But with the 20 that I sowed in loo rolls on the deck, that will be 10 to plug this row and 10 to plug that row. And actually, yeah, I know there's quite a clump of them this end. It's really hard to pick up on camera, but they are intermittently all the way through the row. So yeah, the irony of having parsnips in my worst year. Oh dear. Oh, look at that sight. The lavender, so beautiful. And this time of day, this light. Oh God, it's hot there. Look at me, my love has just gone whoop, all the way up there. Right, let's check out on these seedlings. Oh, they all look a bit crispy. I've given everything a really good soak. This is beetroot, one type of spinach, another type of spinach, chard. This is all fennel. I think I've got 3. One lettuce. The brassicas, some are looking better than others, so I think between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trays of different types. See, this is kale, so it looks like I've got 1, 2. You know, I will get some brassicas. By hook or by crook, I'll get some brassicas. That was cucumbers, and bye-bye. That is courgettes on the back. Looks like I'll have 5. This is amazing. That was 4 tomatoes, completely stripped. I've never known slugs to strip tomatoes. But down here, the loo rolls, that is parsnips germinating. So do you remember what I was saying? Now they're at this stage, I want to quickly get them in the ground before their little roots get right to the bottom and tap onto the tray, because that's what will make them unhappy. So they can go out, and oh, this is a happy sight. The first sweet peas. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, I love this one at the back, that really dark purple. Isn't that an absolute sweetie? And tons of blueberries to come. Yay! Some little happy moments. Right, my pelargoniums my cuttings. Oh, sorry, the light's almost impossible. They look like sticks. Those 3 are faring better. There's 3 tomatoes in there, they're just about surviving. But in the cold frame, things are looking quite a bit better. Let me just whack that off. Yay! Tomatoes, tomatoes, tomatoes. So this is all tomatoes. Actually, if I come down here, you might get a better idea. So, you know, they're looking a good size, they're looking sturdy, brilliant. I'm happy with, oh, has that one been eaten? That's probably all my gardener's delights. I don't know, I can't remember which is which now, my speciality ones, maybe the speciality ones haven't done so well, who knows. The peppers over there, that's all fair Ozen, they're okay. That was a tray of squash. It looks like I've lost 1, 2, 3, 4 in that tray. Oh, you know what? Okay, Sarah. Oh, and there are more squash. Whew, thank goodness for the shade netting. Sorry, bad shot. There's some more squash here. Yeah, things really need to get in the ground. The peppers, I can see some of them have had a right royal pecking. I can also see some flower buds forming. I really need to get on with this lot, but thank goodness at least for what look to be some pretty good tomatoes. God, So it's a real shock to my system that it's so warm, because literally 2 weeks ago it felt like spring. It was mild, and suddenly I feel like I'm in the height of summer. Anyway, so a bit of a quick flip around the garden. So it's obvious that there's a ton of work to do. I mean, way more than half, 3/4 of the beds are either not planted or they're seeded, but the seed hasn't done anything because it's dry. So it is, for me, it's a complete disaster. However, like I said at the top of the garden, I refuse to be beaten. But sorry, they came to look for, Rosie came to the shed. I messaged to say she's here, and then she disappeared again. So I've just messaged to say, okay, Rosie's now come back to my shed again. Now that I'm in the shed, Rosie comes back. Anyway, right, yes, I'm not going to be beaten, but I have to be sensible. I have to be sensible for 2 reasons. Well, the big one is I can't go at 100 miles an hour. It's crazy. There's just too much to do if I stuck stubbornly to my original plan. So you've seen already, I've talked about taking the beans off the paths and putting them into the beds. Great. And also, that stops me from stressing about the fact that so much of the salad stuff got eaten, all the lettuces. The bits and bobs of salad stuff that has come up, chard, spinach, beetroot, whatever, dot around the place, because obviously the fennel bed hasn't worked again. So I can take the 3 little fennel from the modules and put them in there with other stuff. Fine. So I think the sensible... I'm sharing this with you just in case I don't think any of you can be so behind as me, but if in a similar position. What's the best way to tackle this garden over the next couple of weeks? I want to get this garden in before the end of June. Ridiculous. So, the next couple of days are going to be fiercely hot. It would be silly for me to focus in the next couple of days on planting things out, tomatoes, squash, all of that lot, because it's going to be so hot. They're going to hate that transplant shock, and it's just more to water. Now, of course, I'm going to be here to water them anyway, but as it is, with them all in the cold frame, I'm not walking up and down and up and down and up and down the whole garden with watering cans. So keep them in that focused place. There's a water tank nearby, so that in terms of watering and keeping them alive, that's a much easier job than if they were all planted out. So, okay, now that I know planting out, nothing is going to be planted for at least the next 4 days, fine. And I'm not going to reseed, anything like that. So instead, in the next 4 days, I'm going to focus on getting the last 4 beds dug. It's going to be horrible in this heat, there's no two ways about it, but it should be doable. God, it's doable. And then next week I can focus on planting out, so squash, tomatoes, peppers, get the bean arches up, all of that. With the beans, because Gigantes, Black Churchill, Cocoa Sophie, they're really important beans to me, I will sow direct. Because it is quite late for sowing beans. However, what I'm hoping and thinking, this is my rationale, is because I'm going to be here probably every day anyway, doing a bit of planting out, watering, I'll put those beans into warm soil, and they're going to get soaked every day with the watering cans, because I don't think we do any rain. I don't think so. So that hopefully I can get them to germinate, get them to come up. It's warm, they should get going. They should get going quite quickly. Plus, because we don't have any, I don't think we've got any rain forecast, I'll keep an eye out. Hopefully with no rain forecast, there'll be much, much less slug activity. If we do get rain forecast, everywhere that I'm going to be putting those beans in, I'll be putting slug pellets down. And I think with that plan, I hope that by the end of June, there will be bean arches up and bean seeds planted under them. where I have got bean plants that are up and the sogs haven't had, I can plant them. Tomatoes, squash, peppers, get them all planted, and then everything that's in the modules at the moment, some of them can go out as little plugs. And I think what I'll do with the brassicas, because it's looking quite a mixed bunch, bring them all back to the table outside the shed, go through things, prick out, pot them on. I think they're maybe too little to go out in the open ground yet, so at least get them potted on and get them growing away. Then that will give me time to clear the broad bean bed, but that can happen in July. That's not so desperately urgent. Pricking them out and potting them on is a bit desperate and urgent. But yeah, hopefully I can get all of that done in the next 10 days. Hopefully. But, you know, I'm going to be careful. And if at any point I think, you know, this is too much, I'll go home. I'm in convalescence from COVID. I feel like I've been convalescing all year from one thing or another. So yeah, I'm going to be careful, but I think it's doable. I think it's just about doable. Right. So, I will see. So obviously I'm not going to film all that digging stuff, but when I get to planting out stage, I'll bring you along. And, you know, if I'm doing a little bit every day, I might even do a little short daily. I'm not sure. We'll see. But right now, my mouth's dry. When I was on my way to the plot, I saw Gary. He was on his way home, but then he's come to the plot. And when he saw me in the street, he said, "Hi, I haven't seen you for ages." And I said, "Oh, COVID, blah, blah, blah." He's like, "Oh, no." Anyway, so what a sweetheart. So I got here before him, started watering. He's come over and said, "Right, when you finish watering, come back to ours." He said, I've popped a couple of beers in the fridge. So I've got my little reward for getting here today and doing all the watering. It's a nice cold beer in Gary's back garden. So you can all shove off. I'm off for a beer. See you again really soon. Please look after yourselves. Look after yourselves in this heat. Oh, we'll just see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Can but try. Cheerio, lovelies.